Welcome to my Military Appreciation Month celebration. I'm Lacey Langford, the military money expert. I help the military community make, save, and invest money wisely. Many of you know that military is near and dear to my heart. I grew up a military brat. My dad was in the Army. I served in the Air Force, and I'm a military spouse. My husband was Army and Air Force. Plus, I'm really into personal finance. I'm an accredited financial counselor. So I love to help the military improve their finances. Throughout the month of May, I'm doing a series of events to provide value and show appreciation for the entire community. I'm doing a live show every Monday, Wednesday, Friday throughout the month where I'll interview fun guests on military life, money, and entrepreneurship. Every Tuesday, I'm hosting a fun giveaway, and on Thursdays, I will be releasing a how-to video on various topics. But today, because I'm getting this party started, I'm doing a live show, a giveaway, and releasing a how-to video all in one day. I know that's a lot of live Lacey military appreciation in one day, but it's happening. So right after this live, my giveaway will start between now and Monday at midnight Eastern Standard Time. You can register for a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card and 3 free coaching sessions with me. You can either get business or financial coaching or a combination. It's really the winner's choice. And then after that, this afternoon, I will be releasing a how to build credit and fix your credit video. So there is a lot in store. To get the latest on all the details of my activities for this month, be sure to like and follow me on social media, but also you're going to be wanting to follow somebody else too. So before we kick this off, I want to say thank you to Self for making my celebration this year possible. Self, and it looks like I picked this brand based on their color scheme because I love blue, but I didn't. So support for this show and my Military Appreciation Month celebration comes from Self. Whether you need to establish or rebuild credit from scratch, Self can help you build credit and savings to achieve your dreams. You can learn more at self.inc. All right, now let's get this party started. It's time for my first guest, Lauren Bringle. Lauren is a fellow accredited financial counselor working with Self Financial, which is a financial technology company with a mission to increase economic inclusion by helping people build credit and savings so they can build their dreams. So wherever you're watching this, I don't even care if it's a library, please clap really, really loud and welcome Lauren to the show. Hello, Lauren. Welcome.
Hi, Lacey. Thank you for having me. Good to see you.
It's good to see you. I feel like I'm cheating because we know each other, and starting off live always makes me nervous, and I'm super excited that we get to do this together.
Yes, it's nice to do this with friends for sure.
Yes. So I want to just start right off because this week of Military Appreciation Month, I'm focusing on money management because I think that's a big deal. In your personal finances, it's kind of like ground zero. That's the first brick in building it all. So my first question that I want to ask you is, what are 2 tips for people to manage money well that you have?
That's a great question, Lacey. And the first one I always say is pick your priorities. Why do you want to manage your money better? Because if your goal is just to manage money better, that's one thing. But if you know, I want to manage money better because I want to buy my dream home one day, or I want to provide a better life for my family, or I want to have financial freedom, or whatever the case is, then it's a lot easier to kind of make your money decisions based on that bigger goal and stick to your priority over time. Because if you're anything like me, it can be easy to get pulled away by an impulse buy or whatever, but having that clear why, that clear priority helps keep you on track. And to that goal, I also say once you have that set, the second tip is to build money habits that are sustainable for the long haul. So don't crash and burn diet with your finances, really. How do you build money habits that are good that you can stick to over, the year, the decades, all of that?
I think that's so important. First, your first one, because that is really the starting point, is setting the goal. What are you working towards and what's important to you? Because our priorities might be different. If I'm trying to save more for my retirement, or, some people are into the FIRE movement, they want to retire early, versus some people would just like to stop living paycheck to paycheck or have more emergencies. So if I'm telling you how to do something, that's not your priority, then it's not in alignment. So I love that. And also too, that you have to have good habits. I just interviewed a guy for my podcast, and we talked about rich versus poor habits. And there were a lot of things that if you could be doing negative habits that are taking away from that priority is that you mentioned. So I think those are two valuable points. Okay. I got another question. Let's see. What are your thoughts on how people can save more for emergencies and retirement? Because again, people are going to have different goals.
Yeah, so I think there are two ways you can approach it, right? And the first thing I say is list out all your expenses for the last 30 days and look at where you can cut back. Particularly start with the categories that surprise you. When you list out your expenses, you may go, oh, wow, did I really spend that much money eating out at this place that I don't even really like that much, but it's convenient, and start with those kind of easy ways that you notice that you can cut back without losing any joy in your life, And the second thing I say to focus on is growing your income, because I think we have this tendency when we're focusing on saving to think, oh, I'm just going to cut back. I'm going to live this kind of ascetic lifestyle, give up everything I enjoy. And while that can be part of it, there are creative ways to grow your income too, whether you kind of take on a side hustle or you work hard to get a raise at work, or, if you get a bonus or something, put that towards your savings and continue living on what you are already living on. So those are kind of the two ways that I say you can kind of supercharge your savings. But I would also add focus on those small wins and the small changes that can add up. So, we see a lot of our customers, they're not putting a ton of money away necessarily each month, but over time, they're building this savings habit. They kind of build this nest egg, and it can really add up to big wins later in life. So don't underestimate the small stuff.
Yes. But I like that you brought up, you can only go so low. We talk about it is important to take out the extra stuff. And I agree. I will go and spend a lot of money on a meal out that isn't good. And that frustrates me to no end. So like I could have done better with $10 at the grocery store versus spending $75 at a restaurant or something like that. So I think what you value is really important. But if you can't go any lower, you do need to get extra money somewhere. And something like a side hustle is a great idea. And I think when you have variable income, it's even more stressful because sometimes you have really great months. Sometimes you have where you don't have enough to cover the bill. So what are you going to do? And you have to kind of have a plan for that to make sure that you're staying on track with your savings.
Yeah, and I think that's such a good point you just touched on, Lacey, is if you do have variable income, even if you don't have variable income, having that plan in place so that you can be financially resilient if and when anything happens to kind of throw you off track is very important.
Yes. I think that's a lot of times people think because I have variable income, I just have to deal with it. Yeah, you do have to deal with it, but you can have this plan where you can pivot quickly when there's a problem. And, some months you're not going to, maybe you'll have a really great month and you don't spend as much because of whatever reason. Maybe it's winter months and you don't feel like going out, or it's rainy, those type of things. And then you're able to save and put that aside for the times that money is a little bit tighter, like you're not bringing it in like you should. But yeah, having a plan that way you can keep a steady stream on your savings, because that gives you some freedom of movement.
Yes.
Okay. Next question. What's your advice for people that have made some financial missteps? How they can get their money or their credit back on track? Because I don't care who you are, even financial professionals, people make mistakes with money. I say that all the time. Just because you're a financial professional doesn't mean you're perfect. I don't care what you are. I'm sure mechanics make mistakes with their cars. So.
Yeah. Yes. So I like like to say I'm in personal finance because of all the mistakes I've made in the past, because I liked to learn everything the hard way. So, the first thing I say is have compassion for those times when you do misstep. Because if you beat yourself up, if you take an all or nothing approach, it's going to be really hard to just pivot and get back on track. So the second step I'd say is look at where you went wrong and figure out what it was. Do you need to, for example, tweak your budget to give you, to save a little money for fun money each month so you don't blow through it? Do you need to learn more about a specific topic, like how to build and maintain your credit responsibly? Or, these are just a few examples, but look at the misstep and see what lessons you can get from that. So moving forward, you can make the changes. And then the next thing I say is once you're aware of, what caused the misstep, what changes you need to make, surround yourself with the support and the tools that you need to achieve those larger goals to move forward. Have your kind of accountability crew that's going to call you out if you're overspending one month. Find tools that can help you budget, that could help you save, that could help you build your credit. There's so many great financial apps out there. For example, Self is a tool that can help you build your credit, while you put some money aside in savings. So that's, I think, another important step is getting the tools and the people that can help you move forward.
I love that. Who you surround yourself really with does have an impact on making improvements, especially if you had mistakes, because some people unfortunately stay in that zone where they're just not willing to make improvements, versus if you're trying to fix the mistake and make a positive change and not make that mistake again, and you're surrounded by people that are like, don't worry, like, just, do that. Versus if you're with people that are like, you know what, you did make a mistake, but you can be better. You don't have to do that one again. Just keep moving forward and, educating yourself, or like you're saying, use resources and tools, because sometimes we all just need a little help. Everyone.
Yes. Yes.
Well, that actually brings me to another point. You're bringing up self. Can you tell people that are watching what self is, how it works, so that way, because also too, self is supporting me. I want people to know, who I'm partnering with.
Definitely happy to. So Self, we are a financial technology company that provides tools that can help you build credit history. Now, I always say, the catch is in the name, Self. You have to do the work yourself, and we provide the tools that give you an opportunity to do that. But right now we have kind of this multi-step credit building process where all of our customers start with a credit builder account, which, is structured similar to a loan, but instead of getting the money up front, you pay into this account each month, including a little bit of interest. And then after you're done paying off this loan, that money unlocks and comes back to you. And in the meantime, we've been reporting your account activity to the credit bureaus each month. So you have this opportunity to build your credit history while you build, a little bit of savings minus that kind of interest and any applicable fees. And then we also, for eligible customers, once they've kind of proven their responsible habits through that credit builder account, they could even unlock a secured credit card with Self using some of that money that they've put into that account already as the deposit. And from there's opportunities to increase your credit limit on that card as you continue paying into your credit builder account, or even potentially access some unsecured credit limit later down the line. So we really try to give as much as possible kind of this step-by-step, I say, from 0 to credit score guide and tools that can help you build your credit.
That's what I like. That's how I kind of became involved with Self, is because that's one of the top questions I get as a financial counselor, coach within the military community, especially if I'm doing something like a deployment ramp up where everybody's getting ready to leave or they're coming back and they're really being mindful because now they have extra money. How can I be better with money? And so there's always a discussion about how can I build my credit when I get young service members, or how can I rebuild my credit, maybe people that have matured a little bit and seen those mistakes, those missteps, and like, how
Yeah.
can I improve on that, and have this discussion about how I can do it. And, not all the time you want to say like, go get a car note. That's not the way that you want to, tell people that don't have those good habits yet. And that's my thing with self, is that I like that you can build that habit up, that good habit, get used to it, and being mindful and being present in your own financial journey, I think is so important, instead of just having somebody else do it or figure it out for you. And then you don't have that knowledge. I think that's so important
Yeah.
to have like that foundation of how it all works. And that's a good method. So now people
Yeah.
know that what's available, like you said, the resources.
And to your point, Lacey, oh, sorry,
No,
and
you're
to
good.
your
You're good.
point about going out and getting a car note, if you have bad credit or you don't have any credit, you may not get approved for that note, or you may be paying a lot of interest. I've seen some people even get charged 20% interest on a car loan when, if you have good credit. For example, when I got my car loan a few years ago and I had a credit score in the high 700s, I qualified for about a 3% interest rate. So you see the difference between 20%, 3%. That's a huge difference if you're looking at a couple years of paying something off. So that, just wanted to call that out, is, it's important to have those good habits, but it's important to also have that kind of good report card to show to potential lenders, so you may be able to qualify for some lower rates than others.
Yes, and it was nice you said pay a lot more. I was going to say out the wazoo, because that happens a lot in the military community, is they pay a lot, but also they're paying it for years. So often,
Mhm.
unfortunately, people are getting like a 5-year, 7-year car payment, and they're paying that interest rate for that long. And I've seen actually higher. So it's just, it costs you more money if your credit score isn't great, if you don't have good credit, all of those things. So I think the better that more, and that's, I think, what's going to be interesting about this video that's going to come out later, is how can you build and be better with your credit and fix it so that it actually saves you money. So that's the
Definitely.
part. Anytime you can save money, I'm all about that. Yeah. Okay. I want to ask you, do you have any favorite tips or advice on how people can stay motivated? Because I think that is a huge part of money management, is people are like all in the beginning, and then it just kind of fizzles out after that.
Yeah, so going back to the first point I made about having your clear priority in place, that helps, because when you start to go, well, and I use the example of eating out because that's what I struggle with the most. And so, when you come down to, oh, maybe your goal is, I want to buy a house in a few years, but then you keep thinking, oh, I want to go keep eating out, but I'm spending all this money eating out, then you can kind of guide yourself back to your North Star and go, wait, but is the amount I'm spending on this other thing that's not really super important to me or super valuable to me taking me off course from achieving what I really, really want in life? So you can kind of guide yourself back. And the second thing I say is break down your larger goal into smaller milestones that you can kind of celebrate to keep you motivated on the way. Because, again, using the house example, saving for a down payment can take a long time, so maybe you're trying to save $20,000 or whatever your target number is. Just mentally celebrate each $1,000 mark. Set a time frame for yourself of when you want to hit each of these smaller goals, and take a moment when you do hit them to look back and say, hey, I did a lot of work for this and I'm proud of this, and it's another step closer to what I'm trying to achieve.
Yes. I think what you were saying about having people, that hold you accountable and stuff. My siblings are like that. If I'm saying like, hey, I have this business goal or whatever, personal goal, whatever it is, and in casual conversation, I'm saying I'm going to spend some money somewhere else, they're pointing out, well, that's not what you were, doing. So not only are they keeping me accountable, they're keeping me motivated to remind me, hey, this is what you said you wanted to do. That's what the focus should still be. So they're there for a kick in the pants.
Yeah, you need that. Everyone needs that sometimes, right?
Yes. I really do believe that because especially if you surround by some people that maybe might be negative,
Mhm.
because unfortunately sometimes you are around, family members. So it's not like you can get rid of your family members.
Yeah.
So, but it's funny that I actually was talking to that habit guy and I asked him that question. What do you do when you maybe aren't getting the best support in that situation? Like, how do you can't get rid of your family? What do or your friends? You don't want to drop like a 20-year-old friend that you've had for 20 years. And he talked about start to develop other circles. So it's not like give up that circle. It's just now create something else. And if your goal is to get out of debt, it might be, some people at work that are also trying to get out of debt that you eat lunch with or something. Or if your goal is to start a business, then you go to networking events in your local community. And so you start to develop this other circle for that motivation, that accountability that's outside of what you already have. So you're not giving it up. You're just starting to develop a wider one or additional ones. And I thought that was actually a really great explanation of how you should do that because some people say, "Oh, you've got to cut people out of your life that are dead weight or dragging you down." I'm like, no, I'm not gonna cut somebody I love out of my life.
Yeah, and you don't have to. And that's the great thing about there are so many online communities now. There are so many groups. There's so many, people like the work you do, that are helping hold people accountable, creating these safe spaces to have these conversations and keep each other on track. So absolutely agree with your point of you don't have to depend on people in your immediate in-person circle anymore to provide that support. You can have those friends and then still go find your money support group somewhere else.
Yes, yes. I totally agree. I'm glad we're on the same page because there are some people that are like that. Well, you just have to get rid of. No. So, all right. I want to ask you, what is a fun fact about self? I like to ask this question. In the past, I've done it just to learn something maybe you wouldn't know.
Yeah, so I think one of the coolest facts about self that people often forget as they kind of see this company that's growing, is that our founder actually started this company because he ruined his own credit on accident.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so this whole thing started, he's an engineer by trade and not a finance background, anything like that, but this whole thing started because he messed up his own credit and then he was looking into ways to responsibly build it back. And while he was going through that process, it opened his eyes to how many other people were struggling with this same problem. And then he actually used his engineering and tech background to find a solution, take a new approach to this issue. So I think that's one of the cool facts that it can be easy to forget sometimes.
I love that. Talk about making lemonade out of lemons and also thinking outside the box. I am that way. If there's an obstacle, it's not like, oh, well, I can't do it. I'm like, no, I have to figure out another way or to fix it. And I love that not only did he figure out a way to fix it for himself, he figured out a way to fix it for other people. That's super
Yeah.
cool.
And you talk about those missteps we were talking about earlier and how to handle them. Like, what a great example of how to handle those missteps of I'm going to get my house in order and then also pay it forward when I'm in a good place and I've figured out the solution.
Yes, I'm really glad I asked that question because that was a really great response. That is a fun fact. So that's super cool. Well, I really appreciate you being on. Can you tell everybody watching where they can learn more about you and self and what you all are up to?
Definitely. So you can, if you want to check out the Self app, you can check us out on either the App Store or Google Play. If you want to learn more, check out self.inc. That's self.inc. You can find out more about the products we offer. We also have some great resources on the blog around, personal finance, debt management, saving money, all these things. So definitely check out our website or check us out on the App Store.
Wonderful. I put it in the notes, so hopefully everybody will see that. Well, thank you so much, Lauren. I really appreciate it. And I want to say thank you to Self for the work they do to help others build credit and savings. You can learn more about Self and their credit builder accounts to visit self.inc. And I want to give everybody a heads up here. That's a heads up from Self. So,
Thank you so much, Lacey.
yes, thank you. All right, I want to give one more quick announcement. You can find the links to find and follow me and Self on social media in the description below. And be sure to stay tuned as I continue the celebration with my special guest, Ryan from Cube Money, which will be tomorrow. I appreciate you watching and joining us.